For today's morning meditation, I'd like to take a familiar passage of scripture from 1 Samuel 30, verse 8. It reads as follows: And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered them, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. If I were to use a particular title for today's morning meditation, it's God Can Give It Back. In this particular passage of scripture, it deals with the losses of David after he and his men were coming to Ziklag at battle on the third day. After coming from battle at Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded their land and smitten it, and they were battle weary, and then they find out that their women were taken captives and their children. So they had suffered incredible losses. And child of God, this word is to you. Many of us have dealt with things, losing things. Maybe it's the loss of home, a loss of a job, a loss of a marriage, loss of hope, loss of an opportunity. Part of the pain from losing something is that not only do you know that you lost it, others know it too. The questions like, whatever happened to, that's not the car you were driving. Well, that's not where you were living. Or, Tim's still your husband. You're still married to Judy, right? You have to suffer the pain after there has been a devastating loss. And much like David, verse 4 in 1 Samuel 30 and 4 said, David and his people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. How many of us have been in that position? You suffered a devastating loss, something that was heartbreaking. You suffered heartbreak in a particular area of your life, and you cried so much that you're just raw. You got no more tears to cry. But I'm telling you, and I'm submitting you, a child of God, that God can give it all back. Now, He may not give it back the way that it was lost. Because if we're dealing with the loss of a child that has passed away, or the loss of someone else that has passed away, or the loss of a spouse that has already married someone else, maybe He's not going to give it back. But what I'm submitting, that exact thing back. But what I'm submitting you, that God can not only give back what you lost, but He can give it back better. On the other side of devastating losses is where many of us find out just how truly God is. God took us through the loss. Everyone knew that we lost it. They saw that we lost it. They knew that we lost it, but God has the ability to restore like no other. David, after suffering devastating losses, then David, it goes on in 1 Samuel 30 and 6. And David was greatly distressed because he had suffered losses himself. And then the people spake of stoning him because everyone was grieving of their tremendous losses. But it ends in the ending sentences in 1 Samuel 30 and 6. It said, But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Child of God, after a devastating loss, that's what you'll have to do. You'll have to make yourself strong in the Lord your God. But it didn't leave us there. And it gets to the point where David sought the Lord in 1 Samuel 30 and 7. And then if we get to back where we started, 1 Samuel 30 and 8. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And the answer from the Lord was, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. God can restore anything that you've lost, no matter what you've lost in relationships, what you lost in time, what you lost in missed opportunities. God can start the cycle all over again. God can send that back greater. And many times when God restores, He sends it back better, greater, and and He lets it know. I've been in some incredible losses myself. And when I saw how the Lord restored, many years later, sometimes you have to go to cycle. Maybe God's not going to give it back to you overnight, but He'll give it back to you at a time when He knows that you, A, can appreciate it, B, cherish it, and be a better steward with it. God can restore like no other. God can give it back. But we go here, and the conclusion of this whole matter in 1 Samuel 30, 18, it reads as follows. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives, and there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons or daughters, neither spoil nor anything that they had taken from them. David recovered all. God can restore like no other. When God's greatness will allow him to restore things to you that you thought losses that you would never recover from. Maybe you had to go a season after the loss dealing, some losses teach us valuable life lessons. But never forget that God can give it back. God can give it back bigger. God can give it back greater. God can give it back to where it literally runs over. He can do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can ask or think. Where people are ready to write periods in your life, God only wrote a comma. When people thought that you were down for the count, God can lift you up higher than you've ever been. So many in the halls of greatness never let their incredible losses stop them from expecting God to give it back. That's my word to you. God can give you back what you've lost. And David recovered all. So can you. Stop grieving over the loss. Encourage yourself in the Lord your God. And I submit to you that God can give it all back. If we're running, trying to make 100, 99 and a half won't do. The scripture says, and David recovered all. It didn't say David recovered some. It didn't say he recovered part of. He recovered all. You can get it all back. God can give it all back. My morning meditation. God bless you.